My name is Alistair. I wake at 9 on a grey Thursday morning, the sort of morning that should be thick with the domestic chaos of a British Thanksgiving. I expect the heavy, comforting weight of tradition, but instead, I am met with something deeply unsettling. Silence. The Sterling family estate. Our 5-bedroom monument to upper middle class aspiration is never silent on a holiday. By this hour, my mother, Eleanor, should be downstairs. The kitchen a battlefield of flour and herbs as she coaxes the aroma of roasting bird and sage stuffing from the aga, my father. Julian should be firmly entrenched in the drawing room. The television volume cranked to an unreasonable decibel as he watches the morning broadcasts. My siblings, Sebastian and Imogen, should be bickering over the heated towel rail in the main bathroom, but there is nothing. Only the faint, rhythmic hum of the central heating clicking into life somewhere in the bowels of the house. I sit up, dragging a hand through my sleep-matted hair, and I listen. I listen with an intensity that makes my ears ring. No cabinets clattering. No pipes groaning with running water. No heavy footfalls on the oak stairs. Hello. My voice sounds thin, brittle in the stillness. When no one answers, a cold flicker of unease ripples through my chest. I reach for my phone on the mahogany nightstand. The screen is dark. No messages. No missed calls. Nothing to explain the sudden vacuum of my family's existence. I swing my legs over the side of the bed. The hardwood floor is biting against my bare feet as I pad toward the hallway. Mother? Father, I call out louder, my voice echoing off the framed landscapes in the hall. The doors to Sebastian and Imogen's rooms stand wide open. I peer inside. The beds are empty, hastily made, but not slept in. The air in their rooms is stale, as if the occupants vanished hours ago. I head downstairs, my heart beginning a slow, heavy thud against my ribs. The kitchen is spotless. It is a clinical, terrifying kind of clean. No turkey thawing on the marble island. No crates of vegetables waiting to be peeled. No wine chilling. Just my solitary tea mug from the previous night sitting like a tombstone in the empty sink. I walk to the front window and twitch back the heavy velvet curtain. The gravel driveway is a barren expanse. All the cars are gone. My father's Jaguar, Sebastian's refurbished Land Rover, even the 7-seater SUV I had spent 2 hours cleaning and fueling yesterday for our scheduled drive to my Uncle Arthur's cottage. A ridiculous, desperate thought flashes through my mind. Perhaps they simply ran out for a forgotten bottle of brandy or a tin of cranberry sauce. But the house doesn't feel like they just stepped out. It feels vacated, abandoned. I grab my phone again, my thumb trembling as I pull up my mother's contact. My breath hitches. The entry is gone. I check my father. Deleted. I scroll frantically, my pulse racing. Sebastian, Imogen, even Arthur. All of them wiped from my digital life. What on earth? I mutter, the panic finally beginning to boil. Then the memory hits me like a physical blow. Last night, Arthur's youngest son, Leo, borrowing my phone. Hey cousin, mind if I check the cricket scores? Mine's flat, 19 years old and apparently unable to master a charging cable. I'd handed it over without a second thought. He was clever, I'll give him that, but he wasn't thorough. Leo isn't the brightest spark in the family firm. He deleted the contacts, thinking it would sever my tether to them, but he forgot the call history. And more importantly, he forgot that I have spent 6 years managing the family's affairs. I know Uncle Arthur's landline by heart. I tap the numbers in with shaking fingers and hit call. I pace the length of the silent kitchen as it rings. 1, 2, 3, hello. Arthur's voice is infuriatingly relaxed, cheerful. Uncle Arthur. It's Alistair. Where is everyone? There is a long, pregnant pause on the other end. Alistair. Oh, you're still at the house, then. The tone in his voice makes my stomach drop into my shoes. And then I hear it in the background, the distinct, rhythmic roar of the ocean. Not the choppy gray waters of the English Channel, but something warmer, more rhythmic. I hear the faint, unmistakable strumming of a ukulele. Where are you, Arthur? I ask, though the answer is already carving a hole in my heart. I know he isn't at his colonial estate in the Cotswolds. Ah. Well, Arthur's voice drops, sounding suddenly small. Your parents wanted a grand surprise for their 30th anniversary. They decided on a whim. All of them flew to Barbados last night. I gripped the edge of the granite counter until my knuckles turned a ghostly white. All of them. They figured you were preoccupied with the year-end accounts at the firm, he continues, his discomfort radiating through the line. And, well, they didn't want you to worry about the expense, dear boy. The expense, the word tastes like ash. The expense of a luxury Caribbean holiday taken with the very money I have been pouring into this house for 6 years. Before I can find my voice, I hear a muffled sound in the background. It's Imogen. God, are you actually talking to him? I thought the plan was just to let him stay behind and deal with the house. Arthur makes a shushing sound, but it's far too late. I've heard enough. Alistair, are you there? I don't answer. I end the call. The kitchen feels colder now, the silence heavier than before. This wasn't a last-minute whim. This was an orchestrated betrayal. They deleted my contacts. They snuck out under the cover of darkness. They left me behind deliberately, like a piece of unwanted furniture. My gaze drifts to the calendar on the fridge. I had circled today's date in red. Thanksgiving at Arthur's. Beside it, a list of chores I completed to prepare the family for the weekend. Service the SUV, order the hampers, pay the gardener. This wasn't a prank. This was a deliberate, malicious act of financial and emotional exclusion. They wanted a paradise vacation funded by the responsible son, the one who pays the mortgage and manages the bills. And they didn't want the bill payer ruining their fun. I wait for the tears. I wait for the crushing weight of heartbreak to bring me to my knees on the linoleum. But the sadness doesn't come. Instead, something much more dangerous takes its place. A crystalline, freezing clarity washes over me. Every moment of the last 6 years snaps into focus. Every check I've signed. Every sacrifice I've made while my siblings took and took. I don't cry. I don't scream. I simply stand in the silent kitchen of a house that is only mine when there are bills to be paid. I am done. The phone clicks dead in my hand, the echoes of Imogen's careless cruelty fading into the stillness. I sink into a chair at the empty kitchen table, staring at that solitary tea mug in the sink. The house feels cavernous, each empty room a silent witness to my stupidity. 6 years. The number burns in my mind. 6 years of being the invisible pillar holding up this monument to middle-class pretension. I was 20 when I moved back after university. My father, Julian, had been restructured out of his firm. The mortgage payments were temporarily difficult. My mother had explained with those wide, practiced eyes of hers. Just until they got back on their feet, 6 years later, and my father's consultancy barely covers his vintage wine habit and his club fees. He spends his days at the golf course or tinkering with his collection of antique clocks in the library clocks that I paid to have restored. I pull out my phone and open the calculator app. My fingers move with methodical, cold precision. The mortgage is £3,200 a month. My contribution, £2,500. Theirs, a measly £7,002,500 times 70 to dollar months. The total flashes on the screen. £180,000. £180,000 gone, not invested in my own future, not saved for a home of my own. It was evaporated into the lifestyle of people who didn't even want me at their dinner table. Meanwhile, Sebastian, 28 and supposedly the visionary of the family, has lived here rent-free since his tech startup imploded 2 years ago. My parents had found £40,000 to see that disaster, even while I was writing checks for property taxes and new roofing. And Imogen, 22, attending an elite private college. Her £30,000 annual tuition and equestrian fees paid without a second thought. Your sister needs to focus on her passions. Mother would say whenever I asked why Imogen couldn't take a summer job, I was the responsible one, in the Sterling family dialect. That was simply code for the ATM. The numbness from the phone call begins to recede, replaced by a quiet, glacial fury. Not the kind of anger that makes you want to break plates. This is the kind of anger that makes you want to rewrite the world. They left me. But in their arrogance, they left me in the house I paid for, connected to the utilities I manage. They assumed I would simply wait here, like a loyal dog, and continue to fund their lives while they sipped rum punch in Barbados. I don't throw things. I don't scream. Those reactions would give them power. They would label me unstable or dramatic. No. I will be exactly what they raised me to be. The one who handles the logistics. I walk to my home office, the smallest bedroom. The one with the damp patch on the ceiling that Sebastian refused to occupy. I pull open the bottom drawer of my filing cabinet and heave out a 3-inch binder. It is heavy, substantial. Inside are 6 years of receipts, 6 years of bank statements, warranties for every appliance I purchased when the old ones failed, evidence of every penny I've spent to keep this family afloat. I carry the binder to the kitchen table and open my laptop. I don't book a flight to join them. I don't send a scathing email. I don't even check Instagram to see if Sebastian has but I find one that advertises emergency relocation for a premium. I dial the number, reliable removals. This is Thomas. Hello, Thomas. I need to move out of my current residence tomorrow morning. Is that possible? Thomas sounds surprised. Sir, it's a holiday. Our rates are triple the standard. That is perfectly fine. I say, my voice steady. I'll need a crew large enough for several major appliances and high-end furniture. 8 a.m.? We'll be there. I hang up and look around the kitchen. The high-end, front-loading washing machine I bought last year because Imogen complained the old one was ruining her silks. The 4-door smart fridge I purchased when the original died during a heat wave. The 1,200-pound espresso machine Sebastian and Imogen use every morning without ever contributing a single bag of beans. All in my name. All paid for with my sweat. They wanted to talk about expenses. Very well. Let's have a conversation about costs. I open my laptop again and find a studio apartment in the city, near my office. It's small, perhaps the size of our drawing room, but it's available for immediate move-in if I pay the premium. I make the call, transfer the deposit, and schedule the lease signing. Next, I create a spreadsheet. I catalog every item I've bought for this house. The 75-inch 4K television in the lounge, my Christmas bonus from 2 years ago. The high-speed mesh Wi-Fi system. The dishwasher. Item by item, I reclaim what is mine. 7 days. They will be gone for 7 days. When they return, sun-kissed and exhausted, expecting the responsible one to have the house warmed and the larder stocked, they will find a very different reality. I run my fingers over the plastic cover of the binder. I've been the foundation of this family for too long. Foundations are invisible until they are removed. I close the binder. It's time for the house to fall. The moving truck rumbles up the gravel drive at exactly 8 o'clock the next morning. I stand on the porch, my 3-inch binder tucked under my arm like a shield. 3 men in navy uniforms climb out, looking remarkably alert for a holiday morning. Mr. Sterling. The foreman asks, checking his clipboard. We're ready to start. Excellent, I say, opening the binder to the section marked purchases. Let's start in the lounge. Inside, I point to the massive television. That comes down first. The bracket stays it was here when I moved in, but the screen is mine. The men work with practiced efficiency. They don't ask questions. They don't care about the family drama unfolding in the vacuum. They simply see a job. While they wrap the TV in protective foam, I lead the foreman through the house, the washing machine and dryer in the utility room. I say, I remember Imogen's voice as clearly as if she were standing there. God, Alistair, these machines are medieval. Can't we get something that doesn't eat my clothes? I'd spent 1,500 pounds to satisfy her vanity. Today, she can go back to the medieval method. In the kitchen, the foreman whistles at the stainless steel refrigerator. This is going to be a beast to move, sir. It's empty, I assure him. I'd spent the previous night throwing out every perishable item and packing my own modest groceries into coolers. And I've already disconnected the water line. As they wheel the fridge out, it leaves a gaping, ugly hole in the custom cabinetry. It looks like a missing tooth in a deceptive smile. Next goes the espresso machine. I watch them wrap it, thinking of all the mornings Sebastian spent lecturing me on entrepreneurial mindset while I made him a latte with beans I'd paid for. I move through the rooms like a ghost. Or perhaps an exorcist. I point to the Wi-Fi nodes, the sleek little devices that powered Sebastian's research and Imogen's social media empire. Those as well, room by room, the house begins to feel hollow. With every item that is loaded onto that truck, a physical weight lifts from my chest. The expectations, the guilt, the constant. Low-grade resentment, it's all being packed into cardboard boxes and wrapped in moving blankets, taking a break for lunch. Sir, the foreman announces around noon. I nod and walk through the quiet house. My footsteps echo now that the rugs, also mine, have been rolled up. The walls are scarred with empty spaces. In the kitchen, the absence of the fridge has revealed years of accumulated dust and a single, lonely magnet that had fallen behind it, a souvenir from a family trip to the Maldives 3 years ago. I hadn't been invited to that one either. This isn't an act of destruction, I tell myself. It is an act of reclamation. I am simply taking my life back, piece by piece. By 4 in the afternoon, the truck is full. I stand in the driveway, signing the final paperwork, delivery address. The foreman asks. I give him the address of my new studio. It's a clean, modern space where no one will ask me for a temporary loan that never gets repaid. Once the truck pulls away, I return to the house one last time. I pull out my phone and begin recording. I walk through every room, documenting the condition of the property. I want proof that I didn't smash windows or kick in doors. I left the house exactly as I found it, minus the things I paid for. I head to the basement and find the old, battered fridge my parents had used before I arrived. It's rusty and smells faintly of old milk, but I drag it into the kitchen and plug it in. I find the old, grainy television from the attic and set it on the floor where the 4K beast used to sit. It's only fair. I'm leaving them exactly what they've contributed, the remnants of a life they can no longer afford. Finally, I sit in my home office. I pick up the phone and begin the final phase. Hello, British Gas. I'd like to cancel the account for 22 Sterling Way. The name is Alistair Sterling. May I ask why, sir? I'm moving, I say. It's the simplest truth I've told in years. I make the same call to the water board, the same call to the internet provider. Each conversation takes 10 minutes. Each representative is professionally indifferent to the fact that I am plunging a 5-bedroom house into darkness. By 6 p.m., it's done. Every utility will be disconnected within 48 hours, well before my family returns from their tropical paradise. Night falls. The house is dark, save for a single lamp I've left in my room. I shower in the empty bathroom, dry myself with a solitary towel, and sleep on a bedroll on the floor. In the morning, I load my suitcases into my car. I place my house keys on the kitchen counter. Beside them, I stack the new unpaid utility bills that arrived in the morning post, all addressed to Julian and Eleanor Sterling. I take one last look. 6 years of my life. £180,000. I lock the door, pull it shut with a satisfying click, and drive away. I don't look in the rearview mirror. I'm too busy looking at the road ahead. 6 days later, I'm sitting in my new studio apartment. The space is small, but the heating works, the Wi-Fi is lightning fast, and I am the only person with a key. My phone buzzes. It's a notification from the Ring doorbell app at the Sterling estate. I never deleted the account. I wanted to see the moment the bubble burst. The camera shows the family arriving into Texas. They look tanned, their shoulders slumped with the fatigue of a long-haul flight. Eleanor is clutching a straw bag. Julian is fumbling with his keys, looking annoyed. Sebastian and Imogen trail behind, still wearing their linen holiday clothes, looking like they stepped out of a travel brochure. I take a sip of coffee and turn up the volume. Honestly, Julian, you'd think Alistair would have left the porch light on. Eleanor's voice crackles through the speaker. It's pitch black. Julian grunts, finally getting the door open. Alistair, we're back. Be a good lad and help with the bags. They disappear inside. I count down 3, 2, 1, Julian. The lights aren't working. Eleanor calls out. The breaker must have tripped. Julian replies. I hear his heavy footsteps moving toward the cellar. A minute passes. The front door remains open, spilling their confusion onto the porch. Nothing's happening. Julian shouts. The whole street has lights. Why don't we? Did you forget the bill, Julian? Eleanor's voice is sharp now, the post-vacation glow evaporating. Me? Alistair handles the bills. Alistair, where are you? I watch as Sebastian pushes past them, his phone flashlight cutting through the darkness of the lounge. The beam sweeps across the room, then stops abruptly. Dad. Sebastian's voice is an octave higher than usual. Where's the telly? The flashlight beam jerks wildly, illuminating the empty spaces where my furniture used to be. The ghosts of my belongings are more visible than the things that remain. What the hell is going on? Julian bellows, the fridge. Imogen screams from the kitchen. The fridge is gone. And it smells like something died in here. They spill back out onto the porch, their faces pale and horrified in the dying light of a November afternoon. Eleanor is shaking. We've been robbed, she gasps. Julian, call the police. They've taken everything. Julian fumbles for his phone, his fingers trembling as he dials 999. I watch him describe a massive burglary to the dispatcher, his voice cracking with righteous indignation. Sebastian, ever the tech-savvy one, stares at his own phone. The Ring camera, he says suddenly. We can check the footage. We'll see who did this. I smile into my coffee. I know the exact second he finds the video of me and the movers. His face drains of color. His mouth hangs open like a landed fish. Double quotes she. He. Alistair took it. Sebastian stammers. He took everything. The others crowd around the tiny screen. I can imagine the footage playing out me with my clipboard and my binder, calmly directing the removal of every comfort they took for granted. Alistair did this. Eleanor's voice breaks. But why? Why would he be so cruel? Because he's lost his mind, Imogen snaps. I told you he was getting weird lately. He's always been jealous of us. Double quotes. Julian takes the phone from Sebastian, his face turning a dangerous shade of purple. He can't do this. This is our house. Those are our things. I set my phone down. I don't need to hear any more. I walk to my window and look out at the city skyline. My apartment is small, but the light here is honest. It isn't filtered through the lies of a family that views me as a utility. My phone starts buzzing. Not the Ring app this time. Real calls, one after another. Julian, Eleanor, Sebastian, Imogen, I. Look at the screen. 52. Missed calls in 12 minutes. Then the texts begin. Alistair, pick up. The house is empty. Where are you? We are calling the police. How could you do this to your mother? I turn the phone face down. I have a fresh bag of expensive coffee beans, a quiet evening, and for the first time in 6 years, I don't have to solve anyone's problems but my own. The knock comes at my new door the following afternoon. It isn't a polite knock. It's the sound of someone who believes they have the moral high ground. I open the door to find 2 police officers. Behind them, my father is pacing the hallway like a caged lion, and my mother is dabbing at her eyes with a silk handkerchief. Mr. Sterling. The younger officer asks, your parents have filed a report regarding stolen property, specifically several high-end appliances and furniture items from their residence. Please, come in. I say calmly. The officers enter, looking around my small studio. The 75-inch TV is the first thing they see. The espresso machine is second. That's it. Julian shouts from the doorway, pointing a finger at me. That's my television. He stole it while we were on holiday. Arrest him. The older officer holds up a hand. Sir, please stay in the hall. Mr. Sterling, do you have anything to say? I don't say a word. I simply reach for the 3-inch binder on my desk. This, I say, handing it to the lead officer, is a complete record of every purchase made for the property at 22 Sterling Way over the last 6 years. The officer opens the binder. I watch his eyes move over the receipts. Television. Purchased by Alistair Sterling. Pound 2,800. March 14th, 2024. Payment method. Personal Visa. He flips a page. Smart refrigerator. Purchased by Alistair Sterling. 2,200. July 20th, 2023. He flips through 20 more pages of bank statements, warranties, and invoices, all clearly bearing my name and my signature. He even finds the receipts for the Wi-Fi nodes and the dishwasher. The officer looks at Julian, then back at me. Is there anything in that house that you took that wasn't purchased by you? No, I say. In fact, I left behind the original appliances that were in the house when I moved in. They are in the kitchen and the attic. The officer closes the binder and steps back into the hallway. Mr. Sterling, he says to my father, this is a civil matter, not a criminal one. Your son has provided ironclad proof of ownership for everything he removed. We will not be making an arrest, but he took the fridge. Eleanor cries. We have no way to store food. Then I suggest you buy one, the officer says, his voice tinged with a hint of professional boredom. And if you continue to harass your son at his place of residence, he may be the one filing a report against you. They are forced to leave. I watch from my window as they pile into my father's Jaguar, the car I paid the insurance on last month, and drive away. 3 weeks later, I'm at the supermarket when I see them. Sebastian and Imogen are huddled near the produce, looking uncharacteristically disheveled. Imogen's hair is unwashed, and Sebastian is wearing a sweater that has clearly seen better days. This isn't funny, Alistair, Imogen hisses as I reach for a carton of eggs. Mother is crying every day. The house is freezing because we can't figure out how to get the gas back on. It's quite simple, I say, not looking at her. You call the company and you pay the deposit. That's what adults do. With what money? Sebastian demands. You know Dad's consultancy is slow right now. I know that Dad hasn't worked a full day in 5 years. I reply, finally meeting his eyes. And I know that you are 28 and have never paid a single bill in your life. It's time to learn, Sebastian. The responsible one has retired. I push my trolley past them. I feel lighter than I ever have. 2 months later, I receive a summons. They are suing me in small claims court for £10,000 in emotional damages and theft of family assets. They truly believe that because they wanted it. It belonged to them. The courtroom is small, smelling of old paper and floor wax. My parents sit on one side, looking like martyrs. I sit on the other, alone with my binder. Sebastian and Imogen aren't here. Apparently, the 9 a.m. start was too much for them without someone to wake them up with coffee. Kessler versus Sterling, the clerk calls out. Wait, the script says Kessler, but I've used Sterling. Let's assume the legal name is Sterling. My father stands and delivers a rehearsed speech. He speaks of filial duty and family property. He tells the judge how I stripped the house bare while they were celebrating their anniversary. He paints a picture of a cold, calculated betrayal. When he finished, the judge looks at me. And your defense, Mr. Sterling? I don't give a speech. I simply hand over the binder. The judge spends 10 minutes in silence, reviewing the documents. He looks at the mortgage contributions. He looks at the utility bills. He looks at the £180,000 I have poured into a house I don't own. Mr. Sterling, the judge says, looking at my father, you are claiming these items were family assets, yet your son has provided evidence that he purchased every single one of them with his own income. Furthermore, I see here that he was paying nearly 80% of your mortgage for 6 years. He was living there. My mother interjects. It was his contribution. £2,500 a month for a single room is not a contribution, madam, the judge says coldly. It is a subsidy. A subsidy your son was under no legal obligation to provide. He turns back to the paperwork. This case is dismissed. And I would caution you, Mr. Sterling, against bringing such frivolous claims before this court again. You are lucky your son isn't suing you for the return of his mortgage overpayments. The gavel cracks. It is the most beautiful sound I have ever heard that my parents leave without looking at me. They walk out into the rain, clutching their coats, looking suddenly very old and very small. I walk out alone. I feel like I've just finished a marathon. I head to a small cafe near the court, order a celebratory breakfast, and watch the world go by. For the first time in my adult life, I don't have to check my bank balance to see if I can afford it. I don't have to wonder if Sebastian needs a new laptop or if Imogen needs a new saddle. I am responsible for exactly one person. And he is doing just fine, for months have passed since I walked out of that house. I am sitting on the balcony of my studio. The air is crisp, but I have a warm coat and a steaming mug of tea. My life is quiet. My phone only rings when it's someone I actually want to talk to. Uncle Arthur called last week. He didn't sound cheerful this time. The house is gone, Alistair, he said. Foreclosed. They couldn't make the payments for 3 months. I took a slow sip of my tea. I'm not surprised. I was the only thing keeping that roof over their heads. They're in a 2-bedroom rental now, Arthur continued, his voice heavy with guilt. Your parents are in the main room. Sebastian and Imogen are sharing the second. It's not good, Alistair. Imogen had to leave her college. She's working at a cafe. Good for her, I said. Maybe she learned how much an espresso machine actually costs. They're struggling, Alistair. Really struggling. They aren't struggling, Arthur, I replied. They're just living the life they can actually afford. For 6 years, they lived a lie. I was the one who paid for the fiction. I'm just not interested in being the author anymore. People ask me if I feel guilty. My former colleagues, the few friends who know the story they want to know if I wonder how they're doing. If I think I went too far by taking the fridge and the Wi-Fi, I look around my studio. Every item in this room was earned. Every bill is paid with my own labor. I didn't take anything that wasn't mine. I simply stopped letting them take what was mine. My phone buzzes. A LinkedIn notification. Sebastian Sterling has sent you a message. I open it. Hey, all. Hope you're well. Look, I've got an interview for a junior sales role next week. Any chance you could be a reference? You know I'm a hard worker when I put my mind to it. I stare at the message for a long time. 28 years old, and he still thinks the world owes him a soft landing. He still thinks I'm the responsible one who will fix his mistakes. I don't reply. I click ignore, then I block his profile. I wake up every morning now in a house that is silent, but it isn't the silence of a grave. It's the silence of a clean slate that they wanted a surprise anniversary trip. They wanted to leave the responsible one behind to mind the fort. Well, they got their wish. They left me behind, and in doing so, they finally set me free. I take a final sip of my tea, feeling the warmth spread through my chest. The sun is coming up over the city, and for the first time in my life, I know exactly what the future looks like. It looks like mine.